Welcome one and all, Nyanko here, and today I'm doing a slightly different style of recording for this video. So it's still the same. I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite authors' book series that they've done, and it's just that you won't be seeing my face. Well, technically you will, because you'll be seeing it in the picture, but just I'm still not doing too great after the issues that I talked about in Monday's video, so this was my compromise for how to get a video out for you guys for Wednesday without, pushing myself too hard and damaging my health even more while I'm recovering. So I hope that's okay with you guys, and I hope that you enjoyed this slightly different video today. So yeah, today we will be talking about Phantom Thief Jeanne, which is a series by Arina Tanemura, who is also known for other works like Full Moon and Sakura Hime, but I'll be talking about those in a different video. So for today, we're talking about Jeanne, and how epic it is. It is one of my favourite mangas of all time. It's right up there with like Fruits Basket. Again, that'll be another video. But yeah, so Phantom Thief Jeanne. Okay, so where to start with this series? It's just epic. I know it looks really cutesy and girly on the outside of it, and the artwork is very, of the time that it was made, but it still holds up to this day. The storytelling is still really good. It's gripping. You can get them all pretty cheap actually, online or in bookstores. I have all of them. I just couldn't bother to pull them out of my shelf for today, so have pictures of the covers of them. Oh, okay, so anyway, on to the story. So first off, we have Maron, who is also Phantom Thief Jeanne. She is the reincarnation of Jeanne's spirit from France in the past, and her duty is to transform from her average everyday high school life into her alternative personality, which is Jeanne, so that she can seal away artworks and try and restore God's power to him, because if she doesn't do it by the turn of the century, then God is basically going to die. So that's our main character and our main girl. She is pretty epic. I mean, she's a gymnast. She's, the usual super cheery, bubbly character. Now, that's what she portrays on the surface. Underneath, she's extremely lonely and is just looking to be accepted and loved, basically, because her parents have basically abandoned her and have moved overseas and divorced because they were always fighting, and now they never have time for her because they're always working overseas, so she lives by herself in Japan. So yeah, pretty complex for like a main character. A lot of the time they're just kind of one-dimensional, and I did like how she had a bit more depth to her than most of the normal magical girl heroine protagonists. Then we have our main boy, enter Chiaki, also known as Phantom Thief Sinbad. So he, in the beginning, is out to stop Jeanne from basically stealing the demons. So you're led to believe that he is working for the devil, and that the devil is trying to stop Jeanne from saving God. And then you have it that Chiaki moves in next door to Maron, and they kind of have a very confrontational relationship at the beginning. So neither one... Well, okay. So Maron doesn't know who Sinbad is. Sinbad seems to know who Maron/Jeanne is, which leads to some tensions, but he doesn't let her know right away. So yeah, Chiaki moves in next door to Maron, and then they have this very confrontational, very brash kind of I hate you kind of relationship, but really they start to fall for each other, and it's a really sweet romance, and he's desperately trying to get her to stop sealing like the artwork that contains the demons. Now, again, originally we're led to believe that this is because he's working for the devil, but then he's slowly coming to regret his actions through falling in love with God's advocate. This will come into play later. Then enter in Finfish and Access Time. Now, these guys are the little angels that help each one. So Finn is Maron's partner / Jeanne's partner, and Access is Chiaki / Sinbad's partner. they're both really cute and very sweet. Now, Finn is basically Maron's closest companion, especially with the whole Jeanne situation going on, because she doesn't really have anyone else she can talk to or turn to about that. And Finn is actually really sweet and tries to help her as much as she can. And Access as well is very fun. He's sweet when he wants to be. He's kind of like the loudmouth sidekick next to Sinbad. And their story is really sweet. They'll come back into play in a little bit as well. So then enter in our high school life ones. So we have Miyako, who is Maron's childhood best friend, and is also the daughter of the police chief who is trying to catch Maron / Jeanne. Then you've got Minazuki, Yamato Minazuki, who is kind of Chiaki's friend, but originally he kind of has a crush on Maron first, and then realises that crush is never going to come to fruition, so ends up kind of falling for Miyako. Again, this comes into play later. They all kind of become like a friend group and help each other out, and they're all part of the stories because demons start coming into play later on and possessing different characters, and then Maron starts to feel even more alone. Even, there's the usual, why couldn't I save my friends? And there's, the way it goes. She has a bit of a fault in her confidence, and then she gets picked back up by her friends, and it's it's really nice the way the story develops. It's not as one-dimensional as you're first led to believe. There's a lot of twists and turns, and there's quite a lot of depth to all the different characters. So yeah, it's I can't fault the character development. It is a little sometimes it can feel a little bit rushed, but that's because it was quite a short show. But some little bits feel a bit rushed, but the majority of it, the storyline is very well paced. The events aren't too ridiculous that you're like, wait, that came out of left wing. I mean, it's about, saving God and trying to defeat the devil. What did we expect? There is going to be a few, unbelievable moments in it. So, yeah, basically we have our usual love triangle. But it's not really a love triangle, because I really like, actually, how he tries to pursue Maron. They do go out on a date, I believe, and then it just doesn't work out because he notices that Maron is actually falling in love with Chiaki, and that Chiaki is falling in love with Maron. And instead of having it be like this huge, big love triangle where they're both fighting over the main girl, he's like, no, okay, I step aside. I can see that this is a mutual blossoming relationship. And he then goes and finds his own love in Miyako, which I actually thought was really well written, and I quite like that. It's different, instead of having the usual triangle, it was like, okay, no, I played my shot, didn't work, move on, Take notes, some boys that won't take no for an answer. Now, anyway, going back to Access and Fish, as you start going through the story, you start to notice little discrepancies with the things that Access says that don't come across as demony or devilish. And then you start noticing little things that Finn's doing that's oh, hang on a second, this is a bit off for someone who's claiming to be an angel. So as you go through the story, you get to the halfway point, and then you find out that actually Jeanne isn't on the side of God, but she's actually working for the devil, because Finn has basically was banished from heaven, taken in by Lucifer / the devil, and is now working for him because she's trying to get back, I think, at humanity, if I remember right. It's been a hot minute since I read it. / God, because she got banished for helping a human in her past. And then Access, you find out, is actually in love with Finn and is doing everything he humanly can so that he can save her, and so that she won't be damned for life. And he's desperately I love you, I can't lose you, I have to rescue you, kind of thing. So then that plays in with Chiaki and / Sinbad trying to stop Jeanne, because again, originally you think that they're the bad guys, and then it's actually, no, they're the good guys, and they're trying to stop the inadvertent bad guy, Jeanne, from doing her thing. Which I thought was a really good twist on the story, to be fair, having Jeanne's reincarnation, someone who has served God through countless lives, now inadvertently serving the devil. which was quite intriguing. And like, again, it's not one that bores you. You love the story. If you're like me, you'll love the story from like the first chapter. You'll get enthralled, and then suddenly you've finished all 5 of the multiple volumes, because I like getting more for my money, so I went for the like the 3-in-1s or the 2-in-1s, something like that. So yeah, you get pulled along. The world is gripping. The character development is great. It feels a little bit like it might have influenced Dark and Crad in D and Angel. Just some of the dialogue and stuff, because this came before that, I believe. I'd have to double check on the timings and stuff, but yeah, it's it does feel like it has an influence on that. But no, to be fair, I mean I might be a bit biased because I absolutely love Arina's works. She does great stories, and she also tackles like quite controversial things in them. So like with Maron, dealing with like severe loneliness due to having absentee parents. Now you do later find out that the reason why her parents abandoned her / got divorced was because of the devil's influence, because he wanted to isolate Jeanne so that she would be easier for Finn to manipulate, which is very well done. And then at the end of the series, she finds out that her parents have remarried and they're moving back to Japan because they can't really remember why they left in the first place, which I thought was really sweet and was quite different again, because normally you have like one parent in anime or you have no parents in anime, and especially in this manga, like the fact that it shows all different types of families is really good too. So like you have her divorced parents who've moved away, and she's very lonely as well, in the sense of she does talk to her parents, but it's very short, sharp, as in they're too busy for her. So she'll be talking to them and then they'll be like, oh, we're really sorry, Maron dear, we've got to go. And they never come back and visit her. So like, again, crippling loneliness and feeling abandoned as well plays into it. And I thought that was something that's never usually dealt with too much, because like a lot of the time characters are just on their own and it never seems to be a bother for them. And then it was like, no, actually, no, she's lonely. She's a 17-year-old girl. Of course she'd be lonely if she was on her own. So yeah, next bit will probably be spoilers if you haven't fully finished the manga. But I mean, at this point, it's been out long enough that you should have read it by now if you haven't. So you are warned. So then we have the ending of the story. So basically, they defeat the devil. Finn sacrifices herself along with Access. Finn and Access sacrifice themselves at the end of the story to save the day, and then they are granted a reincarnation. So then what happens is you have, first off, Miyako and Yamato, who get married first, and they have a son called Shinji, who turns out to be the reincarnation of Axis. So yeah, he's the reincarnation of Axis. And then 3 years later, so when Maron and Chiaki are 24, they have a daughter called Natsuki. And as you can see here, Natsuki's holding a little black ring in her hand, which is inferred to be Finn. So yeah, basically Maron gives birth to Finn reincarnated, and her friend Miyako gives birth to Access reincarnated. And it's really sweet in the last, like, this, like, 2 extra chapters, because you then get to see how Shinji is constantly trying to get with Natsuki, and then Natsuki basically is like, no, not allowed. Like, you only love me because you think I'm this person reincarnated. And he's like, no. Like, originally, yes, maybe a little bit, but the more I've come to know you and the more we've grown, I've fallen in love with you as a person. And it's so sweet, because then Finn and Access finally get their chance to be together and have a full life together as Shinji and Natsuki. So in all, it's like a really nice, sweet, well-rounded story that, to be fair, made me cry in points, because it does deal with like a lot of like loneliness, and but then again also having family that's not necessarily blood, and then the conflict of should I trust my closest friends with this giant secret of mine. It's I just go read it if you haven't. It's such a good story. It will make you feel things and it's really good. It's easy enough to find, like I said. It's on Amazon. I got it in a manga store in, where did I get it again? Dublin. And then I got the rest of it online, so I got the first 2 in a deal, and then I got the last 3 on Amazon. So I'll leave links to the Amazon pages where you can get them. I think it's on Book Depository too, so I'll leave links to wherever you can get it in the description. Yeah, so there's not much more I can say on it because I just want to talk about the manga. I don't want to actually talk about the anime series. That's probably going to be for another time. So yeah, like this video if you're also a fan of Arina Sensei. Comment down below who your favourite character is in Phantom Thief Jeanne. Again, I'm sorry this is slightly different, or even if you like it this way, then I'm happy you enjoyed it. I'm Nyanka. I love you muchly, kittens. Take super good care of yourselves, physically and mentally, and remember, eat something, drink something, take your meds if you need to. Much love, kittens. Adieu.